analysts are pretty much united on the fact that the language, the tone of announcements by Western leaders does seem to be far more critical and is looking at the position and strength and power of President Putin in particular. Now, it started with the United States, where the Secretary of State said he saw cracks in President Putin's power base. It went on to the Italian foreign minister, who said that the myth, as he put it, of Russian unity had been destroyed by the events at the weekend. And then we've had Josep Borrell, who's the EU's head of foreign affairs, saying that he sees definite cracks and sees weaknesses in terms of President Putin's position now. Now, it has to be said, in fairness, we still don't know the real events of the weekend. They're still a bit of a mystery to us all. And there are those who are saying that, you know, whatever deal was done, President Putin may yet come out fighting. On the other hand, it is a far more difficult position from which he comes. It's interesting. He has been in power now for more than 2 decades, and he's shown himself remarkably adept at being able to manipulate and handle difficult situations, staying in power, containing and keeping his enemies at bay. The difference with what happened at the weekend is it wasn't one of his enemies. It was a friend and protege in Prigozhin, who himself then started the coup, which could possibly even have toppled the president. Now, we don't know why he changed his mind, why he pulled his troops back, and why he's now decided to go on voluntary exile to Belarus. But Western analysts and Western leaders plainly see this as a real flaw in terms of the security and, you know, hitherto Teflon image of the president. Now, today it was Jens Stoltenberg, who's Secretary General of NATO, who was on a visit to Lithuania, which of course has a border in common with Russia. And when he was there, he said again, the door is open for Ukraine to join NATO. He said NATO will become, that Ukraine will become a NATO member once the fighting has stopped. But he also was a bit cautious in that he clearly feels that riling Moscow at a time when there are insecurities and instabilities is maybe not such a great idea, given that the country still has considerably military might and indeed more than 4,000 nuclear weapons. He had this to say.
We condemn Russia's announcement about deploying nuclear weapons. This is reckless and irresponsible. If Russia thinks it can intimidate us from supporting Ukraine, it will fail. We stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Now, interesting there, you heard Josep Borrell, who, of course, is the EU head of foreign affairs. Now, he has been saying very clearly in a press conference, which I've just been watching here, at the end of a meeting of the 27 European foreign ministers, that he feels that President Putin's position really has been weakened by the events of the weekend, and he sees cracks in his power base too. Now, that, as I say, is comparatively strong language, where whatever has been said about what they think about Russians' intervention in Ukraine, they never really had a go at President Putin or his power base before. So that's a marked change.
The most important conclusion is that the war against Ukraine, launched by Putin, and the monster that Putin created with the Wagner, the monster is biting him now. The monster is acting against his creator. The political system is showing the fragilities, and the military power is cracking.
And Mark, European leaders are talking strong about standing with Ukraine, which is making advances in Bakhmut. Can you tell us the latest on that?
Yeah, absolutely. They really want to send an unconditional and unequivocal guarantee of their support for Ukraine going forward. They don't want anybody to interpret whatever events have recently taken place as changing in any way their support for what is happening in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine has said that it's obviously doing this counter-offensive where it's probing the Russian front lines, looking for any weaknesses that it can find. The message from Kiev is that at the point when it does, it would then use the bulk of its forces. Now, they're saying they are equipped with Western supplies, tanks and artillery, which they believe would make a huge difference. But it won't escape your observation the irony of the fact that they're fighting again over Bakhmut. Bakhmut was the city where the Russians said, we have finally had a major victory. And that victory was delivered, of course, by the Wagner group. They're the ones who stood in the middle of the city. Mr. Prigozhin was there, and he said, we've now taken this back. Well, if it's decided that it's not a particularly valuable military target, it's nonetheless of huge significance to Kiev. If they can take that city back, although it's practically in ruins, they will then shout their victory, and they will say real progress is being made in our counter-offensive.
Mark Webster reporting from Brussels. Thank you very much.